Hello, my Blockhead beauties. Welcome to another episode of A Day in the Life of a Blockhead. It's for the fans, by the fans. It's your girl, that Wahlburgers chick, okay? And today, I have two wonderful people called Brandon and Barbara, and they're from Pasadena, Maryland. Guys, say hi to everybody.
Hey, what's
Hey,
going on?
Hi. So, some of you might have seen them on a previous cruise. Maybe you have not, but I'm going to introduce them to you today. This show is for the fans, by the fans, and you guys are all welcome to come on the show and tell your story. So, now, Barbara, I'm going to start with you. How old were you when you first discovered New Kids on the Block?
um, well, I wasn't quite a teenager yet, technically, because remember their first album when it came out, they were kind of young, and so my cousin and I, she was 2 years younger than me, her family had money, mine didn't. So her grandparents would buy her the cassette tapes, and she actually had a CD player, which was like a big deal, and her own stereo. So we sat in her bedroom and we listened to that first album, and so when Hangin' Tough came out after that, we knew we had to go.
Okay, so now you got the album. What was the song that did it for you?
The song that did it for me, we all started with Please Don't Go Girl because of Joey. Everybody starts with that song.
Yes.
But then, when Hangin' Tough came out, Jordan sang I'll Be Loving You Forever. Yeah, I was sold.
So you're a Jordan girl?
I'm a Jordan girl through and through. I mean, I have Donnie tendencies and Joey tendencies, but Jordan.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Oh my God. So Brandon, did you
Yes.
like New Kids when you were younger?
No. No. No, I
No,
did not.
no, that's the story for everyone. Okay, so we're gonna get to when you started being a guy blockhead in a minute.
Well,
So,
just one. I'd like to kind of expound on that a little bit. So,
okay.
I was a growing up. I was into a lot of a variety of music, and I listened to everything from Big Daddy Kane, Cool Mo D, all the top 40 stuff as well. So I was into just whatever was really hot at the time, but I had a couple of underground stuff that I enjoyed listening to as well. And when New Kids on the Block came out originally, the first time I ever even heard of them, there was this kind of bubblegum pop, kind of goofy, like we really want to be new edition, but we're not new edition kind of thing. Because I like new edition, but I wasn't really feeling New Kids on the Block.
Right.
So
But the
um,
girls were.
yeah, and that irritated me a little bit. I was like, like who are these guys that what do they got? Because I like to sing and I like to be goofy and I like to entertain. So I was just there was a bit of I think there's probably a little bit of jealousy involved in that, maybe a little bit. They were like super popular, and here I am, just like some schmo on the guy, on the street. So, but yeah, no, I specifically did not like them. Not just didn't care for them, like one way or the other. I like absolutely did not like them. So that's the
So
truth.
then I were you one of those bully, well, I don't want to say bullies, but like did you tease some of the girls for liking New Kids?
He was the one singing New Kids Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Oh my God, I totally remember that. Oh, Brandon.
Yeah, I was one of those terrible people that I made fun of them. I had some choice names for them. I read, and the crazy part is the one band member that I absolutely couldn't stand was Donnie Wahlberg. Could not. I thought he was a chump. I thought he was like kind of just like a wannabe, like, oh, let me see how hard I can be because I'm from Boston, so I'm hard. I'm like, you're not hard, dude. I'm over here listening to Cube and Dre and I'm listening to NWA from back in the day. That's hard, right? That's gangster, right? And you're like, hey, be smart, and I'm like, man, get out of here. You're not, come on, man. You can try hard, but
So you can imagine, since we met dating in high school, you can imagine the conversations.
oh, we had some choice conversations. Yeah.
Okay, see, so now, what year were you in high school?
He graduated in 93, I graduated in 94.
Yeah. So
Okay, so
we met. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. That's exactly what I was gonna do. I was gonna ask you, how did you guys meet? Like, I want to hear all of that.
So we were in choir together. So I sang in the choir. I also sang in we have like a select audition group called the Vocal Ensemble. So I sang in both of those.
He was a show off. The reason there were 2 doors on the chorus room was so we could get his head through the door.
You see what I had to endure. You see this? This is what I'm talking about. But anyway, so but no, we met there, and she was young, and as you can tell, she's very attractive. And here I was, this like kid who just didn't. I loved the ladies, but the ladies didn't love me back.
Please.
So
all the girls liked him
in the chorus room. They liked me in the chorus room. We got to hear the pipes. Right. I got to be me in the chorus room. In class, I had to sit there, right? I couldn't really be a goofball, but in the chorus room, I could be me. So all the girls were like, hey, he's not that bad a guy. So anyway, but yeah, so I looked at her, she looked at me. It was like love at first sight. And we it took us about a year, almost 2 years. Yeah, it was almost 2 years of being in school together and seeing each other and talking. We had mutual friends, so we would talk and everything every once in a while. And then, of course, we decided November.
Bribed his brother a little bit with money so that lunch money, and made sure I did some homework for him and his friends, because I was interested, but I needed to make sure he was interested, because I wasn't putting myself out there if he wasn't interested.
Got it. Oh my God, this is so good. I love it.
His brother always needed lunch money, and I always had money, so I was like, well, you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor.
Right.
That's the way to go. There's nothing wrong with a little bribery.
That's right. Little goes a long way sometimes.
So then, now going back just a little bit for Barbara, did you ever get to see New Kids in concert back when you were younger?
Only once. Mm-hmm. My parents were divorcing. We had no money. I pretty much grew up kind of poor. And then my dad, for my 13th birthday, got me my tour jacket.
Oh my
God. But I bought it in a large. I was a teeny tiny size small. I wanted it in a large. And I had put this little picture in my room on the wall with the large circle, because remember, you had to cut out the paper and mail it in with a check or get a COD. And I came home, and even though he didn't live with us, he had hung it on the front door, so when I came home from school, I would get it. And my aunt, my cousin's mom, who had the money, they bought 2 tickets for us to go to the show. They were horrible seats. I didn't care, but I got to go to the Hangin' Tough concert at the Baltimore Arena.
Oh my God, that is amazing. So you did get to go. So then you had that little experience. Did you do what most of us did? Did you have like your room plastered with posters?
Oh, absolutely. My dad would buy me magazines every week. That way I could rotate them out.
You could rotate them.
I could rotate. He even came down. My dad I'm a little OCD, so is my dad, and so he would come up with ways so we can make the minimal damage in the walls.
So did you have a difficult time trying to figure out if you was going to put this Jordan picture or the New Kids picture? Because I hate it when they did that in the magazine.
Especially if it was from the same photo shoot. Why would they even give us those choices? Or they gave us 2 pictures of Jordan from the same photo shoot, and both were fabulous.
I know.
To each other.
I know. And were you able to bedazzle stuff or write on your clothes like we used to do back in the 80s? We would write stuff.
I did, and I never got to keep any of that, because during the moving process and everything, all of my stuff got thrown away.
Yeah. So. Oh my God. Okay, so now rewinding back to when you guys had met and everything. 1994, the guys had broke up, and I think at that time you guys were together.
Yes.
So now tell me about that. How did that go?
He had no idea. And if he did, he just pretended, he didn't care. But I was like, oh my gosh, got to keep this calm, because first thing he's going to do is start going on and on about, see how bad they were, how good were they? So I'm like, silently, I'd call my cousin up, because she's still in high school too, and my friend that that I had known growing up in the city, called her up. So we're just talking on the phone about it, and it's all very low key. And it was funny by then, because a lot of us, we were in our senior year. It was just one of those things that we hummed. And it was like, well, I guess they've moved on, and now we're moving on.
Wow. Okay. That had to be difficult, because when you're a blockhead, you're like, no, I'm not accepting this. Like
it was one of those things. And it was funny, because when we just did one of our reunions 2 years ago, right before COVID, I reconnected with a whole bunch of people, and New Kids was heavy in our rotation that the DJ played because Brandon and I hired him but because he knows that we like the music.
Yeah, yeah. So then 1999 comes along. You have both Jordan and Joey that released solo albums. What happened when you found out? Because I know you're a Jordan girl.
Oh, I'm a Jordan girl, but Joey's got some pipes. I mean,
Yep.
his voice is so cute and smooth, and his voice, because he was doing the Broadway stuff and all, because we're huge theater, nuts. So I was like, oh, Joey's fantastic. And then of course later on with Wicked, and then we have, but Jordan, and that voice, and it was like it's now that's like a Jordan girl's dream was when he did his solo work, because it was all Jordan, like an entire CD of nothing but Jordan.
Right. And
I got to hear about nothing but Jordan. And oh my God, Jordan. And oh my God, Jordan. And oh my God, Jordan. And oh my God.
Well, see, I was going to ask you how you felt about it, but you already jumped in. So go ahead. Tell us.
I preemptively struck that one.
And even though he was not a fan, I wanted my tour jacket in a size large in '89 because that's the size Jordan wore. Because you know how they would do all the interviews in the magazines? Yeah. So I had to have my tour jacket in Jordan size. And that was good because, having kids, in 1999, we were having our third child. I could make sure I was still wearing my tour jacket.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so appropriate.
That was smart.
I didn't even know I was that smart,
So then Brandon, we love you, Brandon.
Thank you.
So now, you hearing this, she's excited. Now I know you probably teased her, but I also know that you love her to death. So tell me, how did you support her with the whole, oh my God, they got back together and now we have to do everything?
So that would have been what, like 2008, right? So, I was still mentally in the same headspace I was back, in the 90s with regard to the New Kids. I didn't really, I didn't care too much for them. And I thought, oh, great, they're getting back together. I guess they figured this was people are going to hate me for saying this. Oh, they figure all of those teeny bopper girls now have kids and jobs and money. So now let's reunite and make them spend all of it. I'm like, you guys are terrible. This is a great marketing ploy. I respected the marketing strategy, honestly. I was like, game, respect, game. But at the same time, you're right. She is my wife. I love her. And I'm like, what difference does it make if she goes to a concert? I'm not going. You know what I mean? I'm not going. So I would buy her tickets to the concerts.
To every show.
I bought 2 because I always like to make sure she had somebody going with her. I didn't want her to go by herself. So I would always, I would buy another ticket. Somebody else, of course, she always had a friend who was willing to go if they didn't have to pay for it. But I bought her the CDs as they came out. I bought her the tickets. I bought her backstage stuff. Like if they started doing the after parties and all. So we got that, and I paid for her to do that. And it just, I would drive her, I would drop her off. I'd
just
come and
like
pick
a
her
dad
up.
would drop you off.
Yeah.
Except he was dropping off a drunk wife rather than dropping off a child.
Yeah.
But he drops off the drunk wife at the concert. And then like one night after one of the after parties, I come stumbling out of the DC Verizon Center Arena and I'm waiting for him. And he pulls and cuts off the tour bus. He didn't know it was a tour bus. Cuts off the tour bus, parks in front, gets out of our SUV, waves to him, tells him, wait a minute, and puts me into the truck and then waves to him before he gets in and leaves.
I knew they were tour buses. I just didn't know whose they were. As far as because I knew New Kids were touring with other acts. So now Boyz II Men.
I love Boyz II Men.
Oh yeah, I had every album. I was all over that. Motown Philly back in the day. Boyz II Men 2.
What do you mean back in the day?
No, that was back in the day.
Please Don't Go is my favorite Boyz II Men song. Just so you know.
Which one?
Please Don't Go.
Please Don't Go.
Yeah, I love that.
That's not the first album. I love it. Yep. Yeah. I could sing that whole album front to back, back to front. I owned it when it came out. I was immediate because I was a choir guy. I mean, that was the kind of stuff I appreciated was those tight harmonies, the jazz, the runs. The R&B feel. I was like, wow. And that, well, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but yeah, that was one of the things. But as it progressed, circa 2015, 2016. She, I would send her to the concerts. I would send her, with friends. I would, buy the albums when they came out. But the the cruises were going on, and she was like, everybody's talking about these cruises, and I'm like, Barbara, I could go on a cruise for literally half the price and get like the captain's deck, all inclusive, for a fraction of what these guys are charging. And I'm sorry, I don't have any interest in sending my wife into, pardon the expression, a sausage fest. You're not gonna go running around chasing these guys all over a boat and me pay for it and pay 3 times as much. No, forget it. So I was just like, not no, hell no, you ain't going. So
then, yeah.
Well,
Now, okay,
yeah.
then now I have to ask, right?
Okay.
Because I did meet you on the cruise. So what changed your mind?
My 40th birthday comes and he gets a bunch of our friends together, and unbeknownst to me, he bought 2 spots on the cruise for me.
So and
told me to find a friend to go because my ass ain't getting on that boat.
I kind of felt, honestly, she was turning 40. And
we have 5 kids.
I had been telling her no all these years to these cruises, and I was like, well, what does it hurt? I'll just get 2 spots on the cruise, and she's gonna have to find somebody to go with her that really wants to go and spend whatever, a week on the boat with these people. So I bought the cruise tickets, and in September of 2016, so just before the cruise took place in October. And just before that, my brother, with whom I was very close, passed away. He was my younger brother. He died he didn't even make 40. He was 39. And, it was difficult for all of us, my wife, my kids included. It was just difficult for all of us because at that moment, in that time, and again, this is 5 years ago now, but in that moment, it was just like, it was an explosion in our life. We weren't prepared for it. We didn't know, and it affected us. And honest to God, the concept of trying to find somebody to go on a cruise with her was just like, it's just so much work to try to find somebody that can pay the money. Then you got to pay the switch fee to get their name on it and all that. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go with you. It's something, if nothing else.
I didn't even want to go at that point.
Right.
We were not even in the mindset where we wanted to do anything.
Right. I was like, you know what? Let's just go to get away from everything. If nothing else, we've never been to Mexico before. Let's just go, and we've
never done a cruise before.
We've never been on a cruise boat
Worst
before.
case scenario, we at least have a room by ourselves. There's no, and none of the things we have been going through could affect us.
Right. And she could do the things that she wanted to do, and I could just find other things to do on the boat. I could eat, because God knows there's plenty of food on those things. Yeah. I could eat. I could stay in the room if I wanted to. I'm sure there's other stuff to do while I'm on the boat. So that was our decision process. We were just like, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to go to get away. It was less about seeing New Kids on the Block. It was more about getting away from the reality that we were in that moment.
We didn't even bring stuff for the theme nights. I didn't want to do anything. I was like, we're just going to go, and it's a cruise.
I did bring one thing for the theme night. I wore a purple shirt for Purple
Prince.
Night, for Prince.
Because of Prince.
Because I did like Prince. I did like Prince.
Yeah. Oh, rest in peace. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so then, excuse me. So you guys were going through this emotional turmoil at that time, and you needed to get away, and I totally understand that. So now you was preparing to go on the cruise. I know it was bittersweet for you, and this was leaving from New Orleans. Did you guys come in a few days before, or no?
No. As a matter of fact, we drove from Baltimore to New Orleans, which is about a 16-hour drive.
Wow.
We drove down, we parked at a hotel, spent the night there, and then the next morning we got an Uber to the terminal and got on the boat. So yeah, we didn't.
When we got off the boat, we took an Uber to our car and drove home.
Yeah, drove right home. There was no before or after, because we didn't know anybody really. So it was just like, we're just going to go. We were going for the cruise.
I'd always heard about the Lido deck parties. I told my husband, I said, I want to go to maybe 1 or 2 of those. That was the only thing I said I wanted to do.
Because we didn't really understand what that was.
We didn't know. But all I heard was people thought these Lido deck parties were lit.
Yeah.
Okay, so then now you guys get to the terminal, And I know you're going through some stuff, but it kind of changes when you're there, right? You're seeing all these blockheads. He's probably laughing, but then how did you feel when you saw your fellow
I
blockheads?
loved it. I loved it. He was like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, everybody seems to be going after this mustard thing. It says sail away, because I looked at the itinerary, and he's like, well, do you want to go to that? That was his thing with everything. What do you want to do?
So,
He was just that awesome about it. And so I was like, I want to go to sail away.
so before you did that, like once you get to the terminal, you see all the blockheads, you're kind of getting in the mindset of, okay, so you're realizing, okay, this is definitely happening. I see all these blockheads, and you're getting the key to your room, and you set foot on that cruise, because I've been on the cruise. So the first thing they do when you there's always someone ready to give you a drink
Yes.
as soon as you walk in, right? So when you set foot on the cruise, what did you guys do before anything?
Before anything,
Yeah.
I just took it all in. Like, we had never been on a boat before. And so we go, and we're standing there, and I'm seeing everybody, and everybody looks so happy, like so excited. The excitement, the energy, you can't explain that. You have to experience that with the boat. The boat is like an entirely different atmosphere than anything else that you could ever experience with regards to New Kids.
I think
It's like a reunion of sorts.
I think, the biggest thing and again, I'm speaking more for myself than anything, but when we got on the boat the first time, there was no level of expectation for me. So when I got on the boat and I see all these people and they're all decked out and they got their Donnie and their Jordan and their Joey shirts and their Danny shirts and everything else, I'm just like, okay, good for them. That's great for them. And I hope they have a good time with, these guys, and that'll be fun. I got we got our key. There was a lot of people getting on at the time we were getting on. So they were like, hey, your room's not ready. We're going to put your luggage in your room. So you're free to go into your room if you want to like quick do change or something like that. But we couldn't really change because we didn't have our bags or anything with us. So we just went to I think we went to like the little like cafeteria area and sat in there for a couple minutes and got a drink. And there's people milling all over the place. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I was really nonplussed. To be honest with you, even the sail away thing.
He was so moody during sail away. If you look at the big sail away picture, you can actually see him because he's a little tall. And in the sail away, I mean, he looks like he's miserable. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was well, first of all, I had no idea when they said sail away. I had no idea what to expect. So I come out there and they're prancing around on stage like, we're the best people in the world and you all are here for us. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then on top of that, the sun is like beating down. So I'm getting I didn't prepare. So I'm like, I have a polo on. Honestly, I'm sweating in New Orleans sun and, getting a little bit of a sunburn. I don't have a drink. So I'm like parched. You can't move. Like pre-COVID, you could not move. You get in there, you're stuck. Don't bother moving. You don't have to use the bathroom. If you do, sorry about your luck. It's just, you're just going to have to go there.
Ew, no, people actually do
people
that.
do that. That's gross.
Oh my
But anyway,
god.
so we get there and we go through this part of the thing of the sail away concert. And I was just begging for it to be over. Like, please stop. Finally, they're like, okay, hey, we're going to see you at this and that and the other thing. And all right, peace out. And everybody have a good time. So we were like, oh, thank God. And we were early dinner. So I was like, oh, praise the Lord. Food, refreshment. So we go to this dinner, and that's when I started. That's when things changed for me, because we sat at the back of the ship. There was a giant window. You could see the back of the ship as we're rolling down the Mississippi River.
The sunset.
And it was beautiful. It was so serene. I was like, this I can handle. If it's 4 days of this,
he's happy
I'm
now.
good.
He's been fed and watered, just like a small child who's thrown a temper tantrum. You feed them, you give them something to drink. They're good to go.
Don't you dare clap at that. Don't you dare clap at that.
He's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to do this Lido party. He's like, all right, fine. And I said,
no, we went to the game show.
That was the only game show.
That was the only one we went to on that cruise. We went to the game show
because we met Wayne and Michelle.
Yep. And
right before he proposed to Michelle.
And we got up. We sat all the way up, like nosebleeds behind a column. I mean, it was like the worst seats were. And I was like, this is no bueno for me. Because, I mean, they're goofing off. You know how the guys are during the game shows. They're goofy and they're telling stories. And it's just them
but
being
mindset
them.
wise, we're still not we're not on everyone's level yet.
And I didn't understand any of that. I'm like, like, oh, remember on this tour when this happened and Joey fell off or somebody fell flat on their face and busted their face open or something. And I'm just like, no, I don't remember any of that. So I got nothing out of any of that. And then, so we left there. We went to the Lido deck.
So to go to Lido, this was a thing for him. Okay. We've been to general admission concerts. You get there early. You stand, you wait to get in because you want to know where you're going to be. You want to position yourself.
Right.
And I like that, and I'm short. I'm not like gifted in the height department. Okay. I need to make sure that I can see what's going on instead of just looking at someone's back and going, hi, can I look around you for a minute? You get tired of standing on your toes. Yeah. So he's like, well, that doesn't start until whatever. I said, no. We're going to go out a few hours early.
Yeah, it was like 11 o'clock and she wanted to stand out at like 8. I'm like, well, we're going to stand there for 3 hours for?
I said, we'll meet people.
We'll meet people. And I'm like, whatever, Barbara. I said, first of all, I did not want to do it. So we go out and we stand there. Cause again, she's my wife. It's kind of I don't want to say it's my obligation, but I personally feel it's my duty to be there for her in the way that I know she would be there for me.
But he loved the music. Okay. The DJs were on fire. The music's good.
You're on page 7. I'm on page 2. All right. But we get to this place. It's 8 o'clock and there's nothing. There's just people. Right. And it's sparse. Everybody's doing whatever. They got the little ropes set up so you can't go too far close to the stage. So we're right on the ropes. We're just chilling, right? Talking. All of a sudden DJ comes on about maybe 9:30, maybe 9:30. So then they start playing some music. So I'm like, okay. And they're bumping some stuff. I'm like, okay, all right. Oh, whoa. Hold on. What?
Remind you of those high school dances.
Right. So I was like, okay. And then by about 11 or so, then now I've been put down with this new term called Donnie time. So, but
he gets it.
On Donnie time, they come out and they go through their normal fanfare thing. Hey, everybody. And I'm just like, okay, hey, I'll be participant and, just at least so I'm not a jerk.
But he's the super sweet jerk in that, nobody would know that he wasn't in his happiest zone in the world. The music helps with that.
Yeah, the music goes a long way.
If he noticed people around him that either needed to go to the bathroom or they were kind of short, he's putting people in front.
Right. I would move people in front of me. I don't want to be I'm very aware that, one, I'm a big guy. Number two, I just, I know for me, when I go to a concert or when I go see somebody, I want to be able to be engaged, So if there's somebody behind me that's like this tall and I'm like a big giant, blockade, I say, hey, you want to just, scoot in front of me, that we can see. Right. So I was watching and everything. Well, about, I don't even know how long into the night it was. And Donnie's, going crazy and doing his thing. Well, they start with the song Jump Around by House of Pain comes on. That was it. At that point, I'm like, this is my mother in jam. So I'm going to let it off. So they start and I'm just going nuts. You know what I mean? On the floor with, because I was just having a good time. Donnie just happened to look down and see me. And he just was like, here, he's like, sticks the microphone down at me. And I'm like, well, shit. I mean, I am not one to turn down the spotlight.
Which nobody had.
So I grabbed that thing and I start ripping it. And so he turns to the DJ. He's like, whoa. So he says, come on, get up here. So I was like, oh God, here we go. Yeah. So I get up on stage and he gets the mic back from me. He's like, now do that again one more time. And he just pops the mic in my hand. So I was like, all right. So, and that's pretty much it. And when he told me to do it again, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get this Pete. I'm going to give this guy something that he thinks that, because here I am, this, just older, fat white guy, what is he going to do? He ain't going to come out with it. So I come on, I just try to put my show on. I try to do my thing so that everybody knows that I enjoy. I wanted to get that crowd whipped up in a frenzy. And so I'm like, what's that?
You sure did, because I was in that crowd. Excuse me, I was in that crowd and I was like, yo, look at this guy, he is going. And when you was up there going, I was going, because I'm from the Bronx. It's the birthplace of hip hop over here.
Amen.
So when you were doing your thing, I was like, oh, and I was with my godmother. I was like, yo, look at this guy. I said, I'm gonna make it my mission on this cruise to get a picture with this guy. This guy's awesome. And we're going. And I was like, up there, I saw you, boy. I tell you, I loved every minute of it.
Well, I tell you, the thing about it is that I come from, I love making people smile. I love making people have a good day, or give them a sense of entertainment. Like, so I think like you have a duty when you get up on stage. You have a duty to just put it all out on the stage, and so I just tried to give it everything I got. And and Donnie was just like, wow, man, that was great. And he brought me up on that cruise. He brought me up like two more times, in different nights. And
we didn't go to the Halloween night.
Yeah, we didn't go to the Halloween night for some reason. I think my feet was, oh my God, my feet were killing me. But the last two nights we stayed up, and I was just like on cloud nine after that, and I couldn't believe it. But I took it in stride. I understood, he's he's a nice guy. And the one thing though that really stood out to me though was I watched the way that he interacted with people.
Right.
And that's when I started to be like, wait a minute, there's something about this guy that is not quite what I thought it was. Here I was thinking he's kind of an arrogant, like want to be, look how hard I am kind of guy. But really, honestly, he's really tip top. I mean, this guy, I watch him the way he interacts with Hide. If you know who that is, I'm sure you do, but
I do.
Listeners do. But when you see the way he acts with Cedric and Jackie and all these people, that he just you can see the care that he puts into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when you pick it up from just watching it, I could only imagine at that time like how much deeper that went than just a hug on stage, or a wink or a nod or a point or whatever. Because I think we all kind of, when once you get into it and you really connect with somebody, when they're on that stage and the light is shining on them, and they kind of divert that to you with a point or with a wave or with a smile, it's like passing off that little bit of energy to you. And it's like I can't tell you. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it. It's next level.
Well, when I was when I was on that cruise, I was the girl that he pulled up on stage with the picture of her best friend that had passed away.
I vividly remember
that, because I was like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, that was that. Right. So like you guys were going through your thing. I was going through something too, because she was supposed to be with me on that cruise and didn't make it. So he made it memorable for me by doing that, and gave me VIP, and in VIP gave her a moment of silence. He did it on the Lido deck party. You did your thing and made me I was dying. I needed that, and you have no idea. I want to thank you guys for that, because you don't even know. You didn't even know me yet, and you didn't know that you made my night when I saw that. And I was, because I was already feeling some type of way, and then I was like, oh my God. I went back to the room after I saw you. After Donnie did what he did, I grabbed Alma, that was her name, and I grabbed that picture. I was like, we did it, Alma. Yeah. Like, it was that kind of thing.
Right.
And you were a part of that, and I needed to let you know. So, thank you for that.
Thank you. God bless you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. You too. And then you guys just did your thing, and y'all were going around. You became a celebrity. People wanted to take pictures, and they were talking. And then I was like, oh my God, I wonder how the wife feels. She looks adorable. Like, I want to say hi, but I don't know, because everybody's giving her husband attention. It was like this whole.
I love that. I love it because, I know him and I know his heart. Mm-hmm. And I for me, he's always my hero.
Oh.
Yeah. But I love the fact that he likes to try to make everybody feel special, and right. that brings me joy, because when you see how other people, just smiling at somebody, and right now people can't even see people smile, but just having somebody connect with you, you don't know what that person's going through.
Right.
What it means to them, just to have someone, just that kindness, and we need more of that.
No, we definitely do. And Brandon, you don't know that you're more like Donnie than you think.
funny thing. At my reunion, my 94 reunion, when we had paid the DJ, one of the girls that was on the committee with me came up, and she put Brandon's name tag on him for him. And she didn't put Brandon on the name tag. She put the real Donnie.
Yes. Oh my God. See, so
I-
now.
I do not
was
in any
hilarious.
way.
He was like, "Oh my gosh."
Just PSA, I personally do not accept the role of the
No.
real Donnie.
No.
There is
Oh
only
my
one
There
Donnie
is only-
Wahlberg, and that's all there's ever going to be. So I'll take that with just. If I could just be this much of what he is, I'll be fine. I'll be
Oh,
happy.
but you are. You just don't. But you are. But see, now that moment changed you.
Yes.
Yes.
So I want to know now what happened in that change. How did you fall in love?
So and again, this is since we're sharing everything. Truth be told, it wasn't really that changed me. I started to see things, and I was just like, "Wow, this guy's kind of cool," and all this other stuff. But a year passed, and I kind of, I mean, it's a year, so I'm like, okay, whatever. But the next cruise came up. We had such a good time, and it really did kind of take us to a different place because there was a lot of emotions attached with going on that cruise.
Right.
So emotionally, it had imprinted on both of us. And again, I don't know if we shared this, but we have 5 children, and
At the time, we had 2 in college.
right. So we had another child going to college. That's twice the expense, and quite honestly, we just financially we're not prepared.
It got to the point where we were like, we have to make a decision.
Yeah.
We got a third one's getting ready to go.
So do we pay for a cruise or we pay for them to go to college?
And so
I made the decision, we're going to pay for our kids to go to, that's more important than this cruise.
Of course.
So, it was what it was. And some of the folks that we had met on the boat, in 16, we talked to them, and they had found out that we weren't going to be able to go because we just couldn't make it happen. And so
they were tweeting.
They were reaching out to Donnie, unbeknownst to me.
Had no idea. And
eventually Donnie replied and said, "Well, get me his information. I'll get him on the boat." And now this is not something I normally tell people because I think some people do things because they want to and they don't want it to become public knowledge. But
of course.
I feel like it's worth explaining that it was in that moment. That man did not have to do anything for me or my wife. Never had to. There was nothing. He didn't stand to gain or lose anything.
When that message came through, I was standing at an entrance to the Target, and I just started crying. It was 5 days before the cruise.
Yeah, literally. It was like, well, it wasn't quite 5. It was a little bit more than that.
Well, it was like 6 days because it was a Friday.
But we got the message, and I was just like, "There's no way." I mean, that's just crazy. Why would he? Why would he do that? What did we do so special for him that he would want to? I didn't believe her at first, to be honest with you, and it wasn't until the cruise company reached out to us and said, "Hey, we need your information." And I was just like, this is just unbelievable.
Right.
And
it was surreal.
It was in that moment that I said, you know what, this guy, I completely misjudged him. I totally mischaracterized everything about him. I was totally wrong. And we got on the boat, and that first night we did, we had the game show night. And at the end, he did the lip sync for life thing that he does with, so it was me and Caleb Clevenger, who, by the way,
he is
a dear friend of ours. I love that guy. He is so cool. So he and I got up on stage, and Donnie pulls me aside. He's like, "Now, what did you do last year that got people like all wild up?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I did a couple things. You brought me up a couple times." He's like, "Well, what's the one thing that you did?" I was like, "Well, I did Good Vibrations at the end. That was like the last night." He's like, "No." I was like, I did Jump Around. He's like, "Dude, that's it. Do Jump Around." I was like, "All right." So, and I was like, at that point, I was so thankful that he had given me that opportunity. I said, I'm going to give him and the rest of these people a show they'll never forget. So I just took off, and I'm ad-libbing, y'all want to party with NKOTB. And so we just had such an incredible time. And Donnie gave us wristbands for the Breakfast Club, the after party. And he was so nice to us. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was just enamored with how nice he was to us. And it was right after that cruise in 2017. So it's our second cruise now. We found out that Jenny was doing a bottle signing for the Blondies that they had just released in Long Island.
Oh, this was horrible because I was supposed to be chaperoning our kids perform as well. And I had a truckload. When I say truckload, I had an SUV full of 9 boys. I'm supposed to be taking them to an event. I see on my thing, oh, Jenny's going to be in Long Island. That's about 4 hours. I need to get rid of these kids. So I pulled my car over, called the car in front of me. I said, oh, my truck isn't working. They got to smash into your van. So I threw all of these kids into this person's van. Totally not legal. And I called Brandon up. I said,
they don't admit that.
None of those parents, I don't talk to any of them. So I called Brandon up and said, I'm on my way home. The kids can figure out dinner. They can order carry out. I don't care. We're going to Long Island.
And we dropped everything. It was like a Wednesday.
Yep.
We dropped everything. Thankfully, I work in financial services. She didn't have, she wasn't doing anything at that time. So, we were able to make our own schedule to some degree. So I was able to just get in the car and drive to Long Island. We made it there by the skin of our teeth, literally, like right before they closed the thing down. I think we were like the second or third before they cut the line off. So we just got in. And, we work our way through and we finally get into the room where Donnie and Jenny are together. And Donnie's all the way on the other side of the room and he looks across and he sees me at the door. Now, this was like November.
It was like a month after the cruise.
It was like a month after the cruise. So cruise was still pretty fresh on everybody's brain. He looks across and sees me and he's just like, that's my mother, you man right there. And I was like, oh shit. And when he says that to me, I'm like, oh my God. I was just like, my head just exploded.
Yeah.
And when we came across, he gave me a big hug and I was like, man, I said, look, I've been meaning to tell this to your face, but I just didn't have the time to do it. But man, I just want to thank you for putting us on that boat, man. It's just not a way. He said, man, shut up, man. He said, don't you ever thank me for that again. He said, you know what? Thank you for being there. You gave us a break. You know what I mean? We got a chance to watch you. And I was like, oh, man, I appreciate that. So, but it was that part of it. And I just, from that point right there, in that moment, I was like, I totally have, and I have had actually now since then a chance to have a one-on-one with him where I was able to tell him, like, look, I used to say the worst kind of things about you when I was young. Right. And I apologized to his face. I told him the things I said and I told him that I'm sorry because I literally feel like it was more for me than for him, obviously. You know what I mean? I needed to get it off my chest because every time he would do something nice or he would tweet at me or DM me or I would DM him, I felt terrible inside. It was eating me alive. Like I said the worst kind of stuff about this guy. And here I am like DMing him like, hey, you're my friend, And I'm like, oh my God, I just felt terrible. So I had to get it off my chest. I'm like, dude, I got to let you know this. And you could care or care not. I don't care. I just need to tell you, I'm sorry. I said these things about you. I totally misjudged you, mischaracterized you. If I could take everything back that I said, I would. In a hot second, I did not know you. I had no right to say those things about you. And not that it went like throughout the annals of history in the world, but to me, it made a big difference in my life. So at any rate, so that's in that moment, that's when I became a blockhead, if you will, because I got a chance to see him for who he was. And and since that time, we've been able to like interact with the other guys as well, like Jordan and Joey and Danny, especially. I've had conversations with Danny about ice hockey and stuff, just chilling, just like, hey, the Bruins are playing. What's going on with them? Oh, I suck this year. So I've learned about each one of them in their own way. And, honestly, just what a great group of guys, It's the kind of, as a guy, and again, I'm giving you the guy perspective here. As a guy, I would never pick those guys as the guys that I would want to like just go like have a beer with or just kind of just sit around and bullshit. Just kind of talk with, So, but that's who they are, really. I mean, they're good, they're solid, they joke around with each other. And every time I see them on stage, they do that little huddle thing where they get around the circle and they jump around. I'm like, part of me is like, damn, I want to be in that circle. I want to get up there and be like, yeah, you guys are cool. But that's really what transformed me. Was the one that got me into the whole thing really was Donnie, just in the way he was and the way he is, really, not was, the way he is with people. That's what got it.
Right. See, so I needed this story, right? Because I wanted other guys to be able to try to relate because it's almost the same story. I've met other guys on the cruise that were just there for their wives, and then for whatever reason, they okay, well these guys are actually cool because Donnie makes it happen. He knows that the guys are not there for them. Right? He knows this.
That are.
Happened?
There are some that are. I mean, Mark Porter.
Mark Porter,
Yeah.
Kevin, McHale, McInvale, sorry. There's a lot of them that are there. I think they're there for them.
Yeah, yeah. And
I have been for years.
And I totally want to get them on the show if I can. But yeah, they and Hide also. You know.
Oh God,
yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
Kind of mush around Hide, man.
He didn't make me cry every time.
Every time. I know, right? Hide, if you're watching this, I need you on my show. We will make the language thing happen. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But of course, the ones I've met, I'm only speaking on the ones that I've met. They've never been there for the guys, but end up falling in love with them anyway, right? Because they're just humble. That's the word. They are a humble group of guys. And you don't see that in celebrities. They've spoiled me to the point where when I meet another celebrity, it's not the same. If I don't get the same treatment, it's like, you know?
Like, they're blind, you know?
Yeah, they're great and all. That was, I spent my money on that.
Yeah. And so now, like, that nostalgia moment, you guys already gave it to me. Usually I'll ask for it. But that nostalgia, it's okay. Because I love this story. And so now you're like, oh, completely in love. Now you guys have this memory that y'all can share. And because of these guys, you've been able to meet other blockheads. Probably made a family, you know, because that's what we are. We're like a whole family of blockheads, and we end up being there for each other when something happens. I know when somebody passes away, I try to reach out. Most of them reach out and try to, you know what I mean? Like, it is just wonderful, and it is all because of the guys. So now the aftermath. You guys went on the cruise. All of this happened. You're on a plane going. Oh no, you were driving back. You drove back, right? So you get home. You guys are in bed, and everything is going over your head. The events that happened. What are you thinking?
Can't wait to do it again. When are we going to see all these people again?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you there, but I think I think once you get off the boat, and of course, we learned our lesson from the first cruise, so. That cruise, we got off the boat, we went to a hotel, and we crashed because you're up all night on that GPS night from stem to stern. And it's just, my body couldn't take it. I was like, I need to crash. So we got a hotel, we went to sleep. But literally as you're laying there drifting off into, sleep, you start to think, and you replay a lot of the moments. Like in my brain, I still replay Donnie coming up to me on the stage and being like, what did you do that made them, and I'm like, you try to remember every little minute, every little second, because
Jordan
it's
and
surreal.
John asking you both at different times.
Yeah, where are you from? I was like, Caleb was doing this thing, and I was in the back, and I was trying to hype him up because, I think awesome. Caleb was a great guy, and he was out there trying to do his thing. And Jordan happened to like wander over, and he's like, and he shook my hand, and he says, "Where are you from?" And I was like, I told him I'm just outside of. I tell people Baltimore because they know Baltimore, they don't know Pasadena. But I say I'm just outside of Baltimore, and he's like, "Oh, okay, great." And then later on, I think it was another night, I was up on the stage on the Lido deck, and Jonathan was up there, and he pulls me aside. He said, "Hey, great job today." And I was like, "Thanks." He's, where are you from? I was like, "Well, you can tell they're brothers, Yeah.
Oh my God, that is.
But I think in that moment when you're like I said, when you're just kind of going back through those little moments in your head about the people that you've met, and it just goes beyond just the guys now, like you said. I mean, there's just like family, and it is literally international in scope. I also happen to speak German. Right. I took German in high school. I learned the language. I went to Germany on a student exchange as part of my curriculum. So I happened to meet up with like a whole contingent of German people that are on these cruises. And, you know, we got to start talking a little bit, and they're just the sweetest people. We've since then we've had conversations, we've met up in New York City a couple times, right? Your neck of the woods, right? Just to like when Joey was doing the waitress up there for a little while. We went up a couple times and met some of the German girls who flew over from Germany just to see him in that show. Of course, Joe girls.
We also helped them get tickets that they couldn't buy because they're in Germany.
They couldn't buy them, so they gave us money to buy the tickets so that they could go to the show out in LA. But yeah, it's been stuff like that, and just the interactions that we've had with some of the people have been just unbelievably personal. And I'll give you one example. There is a lady that I met. I don't know if she would be. She'd probably be fine with me telling her name, but this woman, Susanna Salcido, she lives in Alabama. Okay.
By the way, one of the best restaurants.
Yes.
Ever.
She owns a small chain of restaurants, Mexican food restaurants down in Alabama, Decatur, just north of Birmingham, and they're amazing food. But my oldest daughter, moved to Alabama in 2019 or end of 2019. And we had posted, hey, we're driving down here to drop my daughter off. And she was like, hey, I live there and, you know, just north of there. You should, you know, link up with me. Let's have lunch or something. So she invited her out to one of our restaurants. We had lunch. We got a chance to kind of reconnect a little bit. And it was on the 17 cruise. I got selected to play in the poker tournament with Donnie. And she also got selected, and we happened to be seated at the table next to each other. That's how we actually met.
Okay.
And when my daughter moved to Birmingham and I got a chance to meet up with her again, we just kind of reconnected, and everything was great. Sometime like February-ish of 2020, right before COVID really blasted off, my daughter wanted to come home. Okay. And she needed to get out of a very sticky situation in a hurry. I'm 16 hours away or 15 hours away or however many hours it takes.
We're in a car, but we're not going to be there anytime soon.
I can't be there like in an hour, right? It's going to take me half a day to get there. So I messaged Susanna and I said, hey, I'm sorry to ask you this, but my daughter is stuck in this position, and can you get her out of there? And she sprung into action. She had her son go pick my daughter up, bring her to the one of the restaurants,
fed her,
literally fed her and clothed her. You know, made sure she was okay. Let her spend the night at her house. Barbara and I drove down there. We finally got there to pick her up, and you know, she's like a sister to us. I mean,
she is.
She has been. And in
there's
no
a lot
way,
of them though.
Yeah.
There's so many.
But in no way does that happen. Hold on. No. In no way does that happen without New Kids on the Block.
No.
It does not happen without that.
No.
We don't go on those cruises. That never occurs. I know her. I don't ever know her ever in the world. Now this woman she's a big part of our lives. We just went to Alabama recently for Barbara for a completely unrelated reason, and linked up with her again, and her husband. And it's just, that's the kind of relationships that form through this band. It's not just, hey, I know you and you know me. There are deep connections that get formed. And it's not even like the guys are, I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's not even like they're even involved. You know, they don't know that I went down there or that she helped my daughter or anything else. It's just, but that's what especially Donnie, that's what Donnie puts out into the world. You know what I mean? The spread love and love stuff. Exactly. And so when you understand that the guys are just, they are like the conduit, they're the doorway, right? This family is just amazing.
The band has become a bonus.
Yeah, it really is. They really are. It's like I go to meet with I don't go to like stuff now really to see. I mean, I go to see them as well, but that's like the icing on the cake, right?
You're like, oh, I wonder who's going to be there.
Right.
Are we going to see? And that is the other thing. When you get off the boat, you're going, oh, wait a minute. Did I spend enough time with this person? Did you see this person? Did you talk to this person? Oh my gosh, when I talked to this person. And you start just reliving all of that.
Yeah. And you look forward to seeing people just because it's just, you remember, it takes you back mentally and emotionally, it takes you back to that time, and you start to build off of that and grow, and you have new memories and new experiences with those people individually outside of just cruises or concerts, and it becomes like a whole thing. And I think it's amazing, and I don't see that. And I say it that way because I don't see it anywhere else. I don't see any other celebrities or bands or anything really perpetuating that kind of camaraderie amongst their community, really,
community
amongst their fans. Yeah, we can all be monsters or deadheads or great, whatever. You can be a fan of believers, right? You can be a fan of anybody, right? But the point is that this group of fans just seems to be a different breed. And I don't think it's because of the people as much as it is because of the band. It's the way that
they taught us.
Right. That humility that we talk about. So again, I'm just, I say it time and time again. I couldn't be more pleased, more happy. I will gladly go into my bank account and dip money out hand over fist if it's going to mean I get to see my family. I'm going to see my peoples. I'm going to see Donnie. I'm going to see Joey. I'm going to see Jordan. I'm going to see all the friends and all the family that we've come to know and love now over the past 5 years. And it's been a roller coaster, but it has been an incredibly fun ride, and we're just so glad and blessed to have been part of it.
It is a blessing, because if you think about it, you came into that cruise with a loss. We came into that cruise with a loss, but we left with this. We may have lost a part of ourselves, but we gained so much.
Yeah, we did.
You can't fill that hole, but there's a lot going back into that. A lot more being filled out.
So now my last question to you guys. I mean, I love talking to you. I can talk to you forever. But the last thing that I want is for you guys, if not that the guys are definitely going to see this, because we're not, just so everyone knows, I'm not affiliated with Wahlburgers and we're not affiliated with the guys. This is strictly for the fans, by the fans, and it's all fan interaction, right? However, should the guys see this video, what would you like to tell them?
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, they said it first, right? Thankful, right? They made a whole song about it, but an EP actually. But yeah, I just, you can't say one thing or one sentence to really say it. It's so hard to put everything, all that emotion and feeling into one thing or one word or one sentence. But I mean, if I could, I'd have to just run down the line. Danny, thanks for being just real. Thanks for being a real person. He doesn't, again, there's no fronts with him. He calls it like it is. Like it or not, Danny's going to tell you how it is. And I appreciate that about him. Jordan, you are just the light. I mean, I love the way that he is with everybody. He gets up on the stage, he dances around. He is the goofiest guy, and I think he's just amazing. And of course, my wife thinks that he's really something special. So I
got a thing for voices and eyes.
Yeah.
Okay,
and thanks again for making me have to live up to that. Anyway, but anyway.
We named our last child Jordan. We named him Jonathan.
Right.
So I mean,
well, Jonathan, not for that reason.
No, but it worked. Yeah. I let it go because of that.
But Joey has fast become one of my favorite guys amongst the guys, because his charisma is just second to none. He's always funny. He's always a guy that just makes you laugh. I giggle so many times when I just listening to him. John is all heart. He's just all heart, and I see it when he cries over just anything. Somebody says a word to him and he just breaks down, and you just can tell that it's true and right from the heart.
That virtual cruise was hard. And
of course, I saved the best for last, Donnie Wahlberg. I mean, what do you say to a guy that has just made such an impact in my life? I love you, and I mean that like brother to brother. I think you're a great guy. I wish I would have known you as a fan maybe earlier in my life. But it just, things happen the way they're going to happen. I'm glad I know you now, and I'm thankful that God has given me an opportunity to have some passing with you to the point where we can at least know who, he knows who I am in the street, and I know who he is anywhere he goes.
That is amazing.
But that's what I would say to each one of them, I think.
Oh, wow. Thank you guys. Thank you for your story. I really appreciate it. And of course, I'll invite you guys back if you want to come. Tell all your friends they can come on the show as well.
Awesome. Amen. Well, we appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Thank you so much. So now, for all my Blockhead beauties, if anyone else wants to come and share their story on the show, just hit your girl up, that Wahlburgers chick. This is gonna air on NK Airplay Radio, and then it's gonna be on YouTube, and that can be you, and we can share more memories and let the world know how awesome these guys are until they're sick of us. Okay, it's gonna be awesome. Until then, everyone, I want you to stay safe, stay humble, and as always, stay fabulous. Do it again, guys.
Fabulous.
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 Yes, I love you guys. Thank you so much.